let's talk about one of the seven deadly sins of envy, jealousy, coveting. Ooh. Yeah, like wanting what other people have. Let me read you the dictionary definition here. So, a feeling of discontented or resentful longing aroused by someone else's possessions, qualities, or luck. Oh, God. That's kind of scary when you think about it. Oh, I'm jealous of someone's luck. Because luck is kind of like indiscriminate and undefined. And why would I be jealous of someone's luck? But I could see where it's like, oh, he's luckier than me. Because remember, envy is like one of those things. I look at what we call the seven deadly sins as manifestations of when your ego gets involved in trying to protect you, make you better. And it's all about fear, right? But here's the funny thing about envy. Well, a long time ago, someone said, oh, I really have this defect, if you will, of envy, and it just really troubles me a lot. And how do I get rid of it? And at that point in time, which I'm going to guess was probably about 20 years ago, I said, well, work for what you want. And I wouldn't say that now. I would not say that working for what I want would remove or decrease my envy. What it would do would be to put me in a position where I didn't fall back on, oh, I'm envious of them because they have more than me, but secretly I'm mad at myself because I didn't actually do what they're willing to do in terms of effort or hard work. It'll remove that little comparison game, because if I up to the plate and handle my business, so to speak, I don't have to be envious of somebody else getting promoted because maybe they know a little bit more than I do, or they have a different level of experience. Like, that doesn't bother me. But being envious of people who are kind of like born into something you weren't born into, whether it's like, I'm sitting here and I'm like envious of men and I'm a woman, or I'm sitting here and I'm envious of someone who's more wealthy than I am. And I feel like this is the switch in my attitude. I don't trust per se my own feelings of envy when it comes to superficial things like money or status or prestige or cars or houses, because the difference now is that I'm not lacking, right? So if I'm not lacking and everything I want, and well, let me take that back. I'm always going to want more than I have. To some degree, that's not always accurate, but a lot of times the human condition is wanting more, right? But let's just say that my basic needs are taken care of. My more than basic needs are taken care of. Then the question is, okay, so there are these people, and I live in the midst of them. I live in a fairly affluent North Shore, Long Island area, where there are people who were and are wealthier than I do, but I am. What is it that they have that I don't, right? Because the thing is I don't know anything about these people. I don't know how they live, how they are, how they wake up feeling. I mean, I say big houses and big cars, but that doesn't mean that there's more there. That doesn't mean that they're more spiritually affluent. That doesn't mean that they're experiencing freedoms that I can't experience. Okay, let's be honest here, right? Like, if I decided I wanted to go rent a yacht to toot around the Mediterranean, I don't have $1 million to spend on that for the week. And probably one of these people here does. But yet, I sit back and I say to myself, I don't even want that experience. So what exactly am I envious of? And I think this is the basic question. And remember also, when we use the word sin, I don't look at sin as a religious thing. I look at sin as like a space of lack. I look at sin as a place where something that's very natural for me to feel gets blown out of proportion from fear. And so I have to ask myself, what is it that I really do want? And when I'm clear about what I want and I'm doing what I need to be doing, whether that's personally as far as working, effort, prayer, meditation, sitting in contemplation and consciousness, having an abundance mentality, if I'm clear about what I want and doing what I need to be doing, I'm not in envy over what somebody else has, because what they have or don't have is immeasurable in that realm. In the realm of abundance, there's enough for everybody. Everybody on the planet could be wealthy in the realm of abundance. But we also understand that the human condition doesn't exactly create structures for that to happen. People will always rise above, people will always succumb to the bottom. And hopefully that'll change over the evolution of humanity, but it hasn't changed recently. And it may or may not change. I don't know, right? Like, I can't speak to these things. But I do know this, is that when I'm involved in things like jealousy or envy, I'm getting away from myself and what I want, and I'm focusing on someone else, and that's never my business. to be focused on somebody else and what they have. It's never, for being focused on what somebody else has that I don't is never going to get me closer to what I have, unless I'm talking to them to ask them how they got it and I'm replicating their behavior or their lifestyle. Because again, I don't believe in God's universe anybody is wasted or anybody is more or less than. So if they're getting things by having a certain mindset or doing certain things, and I'm willing to have that mindset and do those things, I can have that life too. It's that simple. I don't think that God or the universe favors people. I'm sure there are some of you that would argue with that by pointing out like poverty in the world and all this other sort of stuff. But that's a conversation for another time, and a much bigger one than 5 minutes. All right. So I hope you're not being envious today, because you know you got everything you need, including your own peace of mind, which is the most important and priceless asset you could possibly possess. Till tomorrow. Ciao.